Good evening, boys and girls, and welcome back to Tucked In Tuesday. I hope everybody's having a really good day. I hope you got a lot of work done today, and I hope you've had some really good times with your families. So we're going to start with Tucked In Tuesday again for the next few weeks. The only thing that you're going to notice that's a little bit different is instead of, when I read the picture book, instead of me reading it and you seeing the pictures, I'm just going to hold it like this and show you the pictures this way. So that's really the only thing that you're going to notice that's different this time around. So here we go. Let's get started. The story we're going to read this week is Arthur's Family Vacation by Mark Brown. Arthur is one of my favorite characters. When I taught kindergarten, we would read a different Arthur story every month because I just love him and the adventures that he gets to go on with his friends and family. So this one is Arthur's Family Vacation, which I thought would be a good choice for us, and summer's coming up, and hopefully sometime soon we can start going on vacation again. All right, here we go. It was Arthur's last day of school. Mr. Ratburn gave the class a surprise spelling test. All the other classes were having parties. Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, said Mr. Ratburn. Report cards and... School's out! Everyone cheered. I can't wait for baseball practice to start, said Francine. I'm taking a college computer course, said the brain. I'll really miss you at Camp Meadowcroak this year, Arthur, Buster said. I wish I didn't have to go on vacation with my family, said Arthur. There'll be nothing to do and no one to do it with. You'll have DW, Buster said, smiling, for a whole week. Don't remind me, said Arthur. Arthur's family spent that night packing. I wish I could take my dollhouse, said DW. I wish Buster could come, said Arthur. This is a family vacation, said his mother. All we need for fun is each other, said his father. Let's take my swing set, said DW. We can all use that. I don't think taking a swing set on vacation is a really good idea, do you? Well, we're all packed, Father said the next morning. Where's Arthur? He's on the phone with Buster, said Mother. For the 100th time, DW added. Before we leave, said Father, does anyone need to use the bathroom? This is your last chance, said Mother. Don't look at me, said DW. On our way at last, Mother smiled. A whole week of no cooking and no dishes, said Father. A whole week without my best friend in the whole wide world, moaned Arthur. Once you're at the beach, you'll feel better, Father said. Are we there yet, asked DW. I have to go to the bathroom. Arthur spent the rest of the trip thinking about how much fun Buster must be having at camp. We're here, said Mother. Welcome to the Ocean View, said the manager. Where's the ocean, asked Father. Just across the highway behind that shopping center, the manager pointed. But there's a pool right here. Well, I guess I'll go swimming, said Arthur. Me too, said DW. Wait for me. Let's see our room first, said Mother. You mean we all have to stay in this puny little room, asked DW. Don't worry, said Mother. We're only going to be sleeping here. If you want to swim, said Arthur, hurry up and get your suit on. We have the whole pool to ourselves, said Arthur. It's a good thing, too, said DW. Our bathtub is bigger than this. It is a pretty tiny-looking pool, isn't it? That night at dinner, everyone ordered lobster. Buster loves lobster, said Arthur. This is lobster, said DW. I want a hot dog. Can we go to the beach tomorrow, Arthur asked. Good idea, said Father. I'm sure the rain will stop by then. No beach today, DW announced the next morning. I had a dream about Buster, said Arthur. Why don't you write him a postcard, Mother suggested. Why don't we all write postcards, said Father. But what do we write about, said DW. We haven't done anything yet. Here's some of the postcards that they wrote. This one's from Arthur. Dear Buster, I bet you're having fun at camp. I wish I were there. Your best friend, Arthur. Dear Grandma Thora, you were smart to stay home. Love, DW. What do we do now, said DW. This vacation is a disaster. At camp, there's always something fun to do, thought Arthur, even on rainy days. That's it, he said. I'm taking us on a field trip. I've never heard of a cow festival, DW said, but at least it's more fun than our motel room. Say cheese, said Father. Let's hurry or we'll miss the milking contest, said Arthur. For the next few days, it rained and rained, but Arthur didn't mind. He was too busy planning new places to go. He forgot all about missing Buster. On Wednesday, they went to Gatorville. At least gators get to swim, said DW. Thursday was busy, too. After touring Flo's Fudge Factory, they all went on Jimmy's Jungle Cruise. I never realized there's so many fun things to do in the rain, said Father. I want to plan a field trip, too, said DW, to the movies. But when they got there, DW was too scared to watch. I thought it was a movie about fish, she whispered. And here in the corner you can see it's called Jaws of the Deep. Finally, on Friday, their last day, the sun came out. What a day, said Father. Just glorious, said Mother. Even DW was having fun. No one wanted to leave, but the next day they packed up and headed home. We're almost there, said Mother. Phew, said DW, I really have to go to the bathroom. Oh, boy, said Arthur. I can't wait to see Buster. As soon as they got home, the doorbell rang. It was Buster. Camp was fun, but I missed you, he said to Arthur. How was your vacation? How did you and DW get along? Great, said Arthur. Take a look. Excuse me. Wow, said Buster. You really did have a great time. The end. All right. Excuse me, I have a little frog in my throat right now. Okay, so the chapter book that we're going to read for the next couple of weeks is a Bailey School Kids book. And I have to say, I love Bailey School Kids. I love the little mystery that goes with all of these books. This one is called Pirates Don't Wear Pink Sunglasses. On the back it says, Captain Teach is a Camp Lone Wolf's newest counselor. But something's not quite right about this sailor. When the Bailey School Kids go snooping around his cabin, they stumble across a treasure map. Is Captain Teach really a pirate? And could this map lead the Bailey School Kids to a real-life buried treasure? Well, let's read to find out in Pirates Don't Wear Pink Sunglasses. Chapter 1 is called Mistletoe. I can't believe we have to go back there, Melody complained as the school bus went over a bump. Liza leaned her head out the bus window and moaned. We'll never make it out of there alive. Mr. Jenkins will get us this time for sure. The Bailey Elementary kids nodded as they remembered last summer at Camp Lone Wolf. They were sure Mr. Jenkins, their counselor, was a werewolf. He'll have to deal with me first, Eddie said from the seat behind the two girls. He held up a large clump of mistletoe. All right, Howie slapped his friend Eddie on the back. That should keep that old werewolf face in check. The kids had read in a book that people during the Middle Ages used mistletoe to scare away werewolves. Eddie stuffed the mistletoe into his blue Bailey City gym bag. I still don't believe that Mr. Jenkins is a real werewolf, but just in case, you're ready, Melody finished for him. The four kids were silent as the bus passed the sign that said, Welcome to Camp Lone Wolf. Tall weeds clung to the weathered sign. As the bus bumped over the gravel drive, Coach Ellison stood up in the front of the bus and grinned at the Bailey School kids. I always look forward to this nature trip, he said, rubbing his hands together, especially the boat race on Friday against the Sheldon Sharks. I don't know why, Liza mumbled. Bailey School never wins. Melody nodded. All we end up with are mosquito bites. Every year, the kids from Bailey Elementary went on a week-long nature trip, and every year the field trip ended with the rowing competition against the kids from nearby Sheldon City. The Bailey Boaters had never won a single race. But this time, Coach Ellison says, we're going to have a professional instructor, Howie told her. If Mr. Jenkins doesn't get us first, Melody shivered as she remembered Mr. Jenkins' wolf-like howls. Maybe Mr. Jenkins won't even be there, Liza said. Yeah, maybe he retired to the old werewolf's home, Melody said hopefully. Eddie shook his curly red head and pointed, not a chance. Look. As the bus squeaked to a stop, the four kids saw a very hairy Mr. Jenkins standing beside a picnic table. He wore no shoes, a brown Camp Lone Wolf t-shirt, and ragged blue jeans. Around his furry neck were silver dog tags. Beside him stood a stocky man with a long black beard and bright pink sunglasses. The stranger's frizzy black hair was tied back in a ponytail with a purple bandana, and silver earrings dangled from his left ear. Oh no, Melody gasped. Now there's two of them. Howie gulped. It's a werewolf convention. Everybody off, Coach Ellison hollered from the front of the bus. Let's get ready for those Sheldon sharks. Liza followed her friends off the bus. I just hope we don't get eaten first. Chapter 2 is called Captain Teach. Welcome to Camp Lone Wolf, Bailey kids, Mr. Jenkins boomed in a voice loud enough to rattle the bus windows. I hope you're ready to work those rowing muscles of yours. I hope he doesn't make a snack out of my muscles, Melody whispered. But she quickly fell silent when Mr. Jenkins glared at her. His eyes were bloodshot and underlined with dark circles. He looked like he hadn't slept since last time she'd seen him. It's kind of you to give us a discount, Coach Ellison said. The school couldn't afford to pay full price. Mr. Jenkins scratched his tangled beard and shrugged. Business has been slow. At least this way the camp is earning some money. And I was lucky to run into Captain Teach. He's helping out at no cost, Mr. Jenkins nodded to the burly man. Teach knows all about making a crew shipshape, so you rookies pay attention and you'll win that boat race. I'd rather eat hot dogs and ice cream, Eddie laughed. But his smile faded when Mr. Jenkins grinned back, showing all of his teeth. Mr. Jenkins licked his lips. Well, we'll worry about eating later, after Teach is through with you. Liza gulped. I'm already worried. They're all yours, Mr. Jenkins told Captain Teach as he stalked into the woods. Coach Ellison held his hand out to the new instructor. Hello, Frank Ellison, the Bailey coach. Instead of shaking his hand, Captain Teach spit on the dusty ground and adjusted his pink sunglasses. Coach Ellison dropped his hand to the side and stammered, We're honored to have such an experienced instructor. Where did you get your experience? Captain Teach scowled and spoke with a gruff accent. Me life has been the sea, and I work where the tide takes me. He winked at Coach Ellison and then turned to the kids clustered by the bus. Why are you sailors loafing about? He growled. Get your gear stowed in the cabins, then hightail it to the docks. We've work to do. The kids ran into each other as they grabbed their bags and headed for the cabins. Melody, Liza, and the other girls dumped their bags on the bunks in cabin Grey Wolf. Dust clouds poofed from the mattresses and made them sneeze. This place is filthy, Melody snapped. It looks like no one's been here since we left. Liza knocked some cobwebs down with her pillow. You're probably right. Everybody started going to Camp Soaring Eagle on the other side of Sheldon City. Camp Soaring Eagle is fantastic, Corey said. It's much better than this flea nest. It has horses, motor scooters, even scuba gear. I went there for 2 weeks. It was a blast. Carrie's father was the president of Bailey City Bank, and she always got to do whatever she wanted. Most of the kids thought she was a brat. I don't think Camp Lone Wolf can afford that stuff, Liza said. It won't be able to afford to stay open if it doesn't do something fast, Carrie snapped. My dad said this place is broke. If they don't make this month's payment, Bailey Bank is going to take it over. What does a bank want with a camp? Melody asked. Carrie smiled. They're going to sell it to the Mega Mall Development Company so Bailey City can have the biggest mall in the country. But we already have a mall, Melody reminded Carrie. Liza looked out the dusty window at all of the tall pine trees. It'd be a shame to tear down all those trees. And what about the animals and Mr. Jenkins? Carrie shrugged. Who cares about that mangy man and all those nasty creatures? A mall would be great. I'm not so sure, Liza muttered as the girls headed back outside. They met Eddie and Howie outside Cabin Silverwolf. Tall weeds sprouted around the cabin. This place is a mess, Howie said. It's gone to the dogs, Eddie laughed. Or should I say, the wolves. Liza's face turned pale. Maybe wolves have taken over. After all, I haven't seen any other camp counselors. Liza's right, Melody said. Eddie laughed at his friends. I have plenty of mistletoe with me. Besides, Coach Ellison and Captain Teach are here. We don't have anything to worry about. Howie took a deep breath and looked at his friend. I hope you're right. Chapter 3 is called Long-Tongued Jack. Coach Ellison herded the group down to the lake where Captain Teach waited. He stood on 2 boats with 1 foot on each boat. Melody nodded. Look at his parrot. Perched on Teach's shoulder was a large yellow and green bird with a bright orange beak. Morning, the bird chirped. Oh, how sweet, Carrie said. Row, mate, the bird squawked. Eddie laughed. Sweet, just like poison. Hardy har har, Captain Teach laughed as he pushed up his sunglasses. Long-Tongued Jack here says it'd be time to get started. We've no time to waste if you're going to win that race. But we can't win, Liza whined. The Sheldon City Sharks always beat the Bailey Boaters. Can't never wins, Long-Tongued Jack squawked and raised his colorful wings. Jack's right, Teach roared. We'll have no lily-livered quitters here. Captain Teach never gives up without a fight. Even if we're the worst rowers in the state, Eddie asked. Especially then, Teach said, and adjusted his pink sunglasses. We'll catch those Sheldon big shots off guard. They'll never know what hit them. Now you're talking, Eddie smiled, but the rest of the kids still looked uncertain. Surely you pint-sized pieces of fish bait know the story of Molly the Red. Captain Teach looked at the kids, shaking their heads. Molly the Red, Long-Tongued Jack screeched and flew over to Coach Ellison and sat on his head. A few kids snickered. Coach Ellison stood very still as Teach began to tell his story. It was back in 1718 when pirates still ruled the seas. Molly the Red was the fiercest pirate ever to sail up the northern coast. Most pirates were content to stay near the Barbary coast where it was safe, but not Molly. She feared not a thing, except maybe Blackbeard himself. A few kids nodded their heads in recognition of the name Blackbeard, the most famous pirate who ever lived. Molly's ship was loaded with riches that she'd looted from ships sailing from the East Coast harbors. She needed a place to hide out for a while to bury her treasures. That place was Bailey City, Coach Ellison interrupted. Long-tongued Jack flapped his wings and squawked, Bailey treasure, Bailey treasure. But Bailey City isn't on the ocean, Howie pointed out. Aye, a smart lad you be. The original settlement of Bailey City was right here on the shores of the Red River, which flows into the Atlantic. I never knew pirates were in Bailey City, Liza said with her eyes wide. Teach shook his head. The scallywags never made it. Molly thought that Bailey City was an easy mark of yellow-bellied men and women, a good place to rob and plunder and hide out. But Bailey City had a surprise for her. What happened? Melody asked. When some of the gentlefolk of Bailey City heard that Molly's thieving rascals were on their way, they ran off. But some of the guys, some had the guts to stay. They built barricades and practiced with their weapons, men and women alike. They were ready when Molly's ship, heavy with treasure, rounded the bend to Bailey City. Did Molly's pirates loot Bailey City, Howie asked. Hardy har har, Captain Teach roared. Hardly. The men and women of Bailey City blew that ship clear out of the water. What about the treasure, Carrie asked. Never found, Teach whispered. Some think it's still here, buried by that thieving woman somewhere on the shores of the Red River. The kids looked at the blue water, wondering about the treasure, until Eddie interrupted. That's all very interesting, he said to Captain Teach, but what does this have to do with the race? Everything, Teach said, slowly adjusting his pink glasses. We're going to do the same thing to the Sheldon Sharks that they did to Molly the Red. We're going to blow them out of the water. And that is where we're going to stop for this week. All right, friends, I hope you have brushed your teeth. I hope your jammies are on, and I hope you are tucked in tight. And we will see each other next week. Have a great night.